Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Lumchauskas. Today's the 13th of August 2018, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this afternoon session where we're going to have a look at a few instruments I believe are quite important. But before we do that, of course, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Also, just a very quick reminder of our JFD Brokers website and specifically our JFD research page here, where you can go in and have a look at different analysis that we do on a daily basis. And I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here for yourselves, guys. So feel free to check us out. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on is the Dow Jones. Now, the Dow Jones continues to trade here within this very big wide range here that we've got between the 23,350 and the 25,800. Now, this is what's in regards to this bigger picture. As you can see that the index has stayed here within these two levels since around the beginning of February. Now, of course, this is what we were looking for initially, recently. So until last week, we were aiming for this level here, the upper side of the range at around 25,800. But as you can see, starting from Wednesday last week, we started declining on this index, and we saw this decline, and it dropped towards its 21 EMA here, shown as the yellow line. So now this is where the index finished its week last week. Let's put it that way, and where it closed Friday last week. So it managed to reach this, almost managed to reach this area of support here at around 25,215 that I had marked here, and but like I said, it closed the day just around this 21 EMA. Certainly, for now, it's the big question here is, are we still gonna make another move higher here? We could potentially aim for this 25,800, or is this gonna lead to a slightly maybe longer or longer term decline here, maybe even going down here towards this lower side of the range? Certainly, that's a very big drastic shot here. But if we draw a support line, a short-term support line here, guys, as we can see that Friday's activity forced the index to close below this upside support line. You can call it as a tentative one, but nevertheless, it will be important to keep an eye on this one. And if this proves to be a nice, good indicator, then further declines, a nice break below the 25,215 could open the path towards the this next potential area of support at around 25,000. So the psychological 25,000, guys. So keep an eye on that one. If we get a break here and a close below this 25,215, certainly if this index reverses back to the upside and gets above this upside support line, this short-term upside support line, and also gets above this 25,450 mark, now this is where it could become more interesting for the bulls again, and we could maybe see them pushing the index maybe higher. Maybe even actually this time we could get a touch of this 25,800 level here. So now, last time this area was hit was at the end of February, or to be more precise, on the 27th of February. So something to keep an eye on, guys. But certainly for now, I'll just quickly highlight this little area that we're going to keep an eye on the short run. In the short run, and that's this 25,215. A nice good break and a close below this could open the path towards the psychological 25,000. Certainly if that doesn't hold, you could continue dropping further, but to be honest, let's go step by step and let's see what it wants to do with this level first. On the upside, for the short run, we would need to see a nice good break above this 25,450 and also above this upside support line, the short-term upside support line, in order to kind of start considering higher levels. Let's jump into gold, and gold has finally shifted itself out of this range that I was talking about, and I was covering this one this morning, and I said to you guys, until we get a nice break and a close either below this lower side of the range or above through the upper side of the range here, we're not going to do anything. So finally we got a break, as you can see here. It touched the 1195 level perfectly, the one that I was talking about here this morning as well. And certainly for now, all eyes are on this 1205 still, because we need to see a nice good close below this level in order to start looking for another test of the psychological 1200, and then eventually the 1195. So this is, like I said, for now all eyes are on today's close. Let's see if it closes below the 1205, and if it does, well, we could position ourselves for further declines, at least for 1195, another potential test of the 1195. On the upside, well, for us to get comfortable with the upside, we would need to see a nice good break above this 1215 and also close above this for 1215, and this is where we could start positioning ourselves for the higher levels, and specifically the 1237, 1235 area, something like that. This could be a nice potential area of initial area of resistance, but of course for now, judging by this picture that we're seeing right now on gold, it doesn't really look very strong, and we could maybe see further declines. Let's jump into a few pairs now quickly, and the first one I want to touch on is the Aussie dollar. Now the Aussie dollar had a nice push lower here today. Let me actually jump into a 4-hour chart on this one, and as you can see now, we're trying the pair is trying to recover some of its lost grounds. Now the big question here is, of course, is this gonna at least go towards the lower side of the range that the pair has been trading here since around the 22nd, well, actually about maybe a little bit earlier, so around the 20th of June. So I mean, the pair was stuck here in this little range, and now it seems that yeah, we broke it to the downside nicely last week, and now of course the question is, are we going to test this lower bound of the range again, or is this going to just reverse somewhere here and then move lower? So for now, certainly judging by this, what we are seeing here on the 4-hour chart, we could potentially see maybe a recovery at least towards this 0.73 0.7315 level now, which is the lower bound of this range. And then if we get a rejection here, now this is where it could become more interesting for the bears, and we could maybe see another round of selling here coming in, where we could maybe aim for these lows again. Let me just quickly highlight those. And these are the lows that I'm talking about, and that's around the 0.7260. So certainly this would be the initial target, but if that doesn't hold, it could continue dropping lower here. So for now, of course, all eyes are on this one, on the lower bound of the broken range, let's say like that. Let's see what it wants to do with it. Let's jump into euro dollar, and the euro dollar is also recovering nicely here from this key area of support at around 113.70. Certainly, as you can see last week as well, we've broken it to the downside. We've broken this range that it was trading in. We've broken it to the downside and moved sharply lower. Found good support here at around 113.70, and now we're seeing a bit of buying activity kicking in. So the big question here is, of course, are we gonna make a move here higher, at least towards the lower bound of the range here that the pair broke out of last week, or actually are we gonna just hit this 114.80 mark? Now, just to kind of remind you quickly, the 114.80 has been a nice area of support here. around the 20th of July last year. So certainly this could play out nicely if the 1480 could act as a good area of resistance, initial resistance, of course, and from which it could maybe push a little bit higher towards towards a test of this range, the lower bound of the range that the pair broke out of last week. So for now, of course, the big question here is, are we gonna see a bit more recovery here? And if we will, then which of these levels is gonna hold? Now certainly at the moment we're gonna just aim, we're gonna go step by step and just aim for this area here, initially the 114.80, and after that, of course, be careful, guys. I mean, we could maybe see maybe a little bit of a jump here, a test of this 115.100 level, and then maybe another decline lower. So certainly initially all eyes are on this 114.80. Let's see if it recovers that much. Let's jump into USDJPY now quickly, and the USDJPY continues to trade here lower. Certainly today we're seeing a bit of recovery here, but overall, judging from this daily picture, as we can see here, we are below this upside support line here. This, I would probably call it more medium-term upside support line. We are below this line, and also we are below this downside resistance line as well, taken from the peak of the 19th of July. Now, of course, as you can see today, we're getting a nice push higher here, but of course all eyes are on this downside resistance line. Let's see if it holds or not, but at the moment, until this remains, as long as it remains intact, we'll still aim for lower levels, and we could potentially move lower again here. So for now, let's see what it wants to do with this downside resistance line. If it gets a break, still not all is lost for the bears, because we could potentially get a rejection from this medium-term upside support line that I was just talking about. So basically the two scenarios that we could see here could be, the first one could be this, where we see a rejection from the this short-term downside resistance line, and the next one where we could break this downside resistance line but actually get rejected from this upside support line from its lower side of it. So and then we could maybe move lower again. So certainly all eyes are on this line now, on this short-term downside resistance line. Let's see what it wants to do with it. But at the moment, to be honest, the overall picture is more bearish than bullish. And the last pair that I really wanted to touch on, and that's gonna be one of the exotic ones, and that's also getting a hit, and that's the USD South African Rand. Now so last week we were still trading here below this key area of resistance at around 13.92. Now, as you can see, we've managed to break it nicely to the upside. We broke it here higher, and we've took out some key areas of resistance, especially this one here, the highest one being the 14.5796 area, approximately there. Now, that was marked by the highs that we saw here in November 2017, but as you can see, we broke it today, of course, early morning. We broke it to the upside, but as you can see, it heavily retraced here to the downside. And if we jump into a 4-hour chart on this one, we can see that it continues to move lower here, but keep your eyes on this level right here, the 14.1515 mark. Now, this level here, let me just jump into the daily chart quickly. The 14.1515 has been the high here that we saw around the 24th of November last year. So certainly we could maybe see a bit of retracement towards this level, especially clearly seen on the 4-hour chart here, where we could maybe see a bit of rebound and another push higher after that, because at the moment still, as you know, the emerging markets are taking the hit recently, and of course South Africa being one of those. Its currency is also taking a hit, and like I said, for now all eyes are on this little level right here at around 14.1515. If it proves to be a very nice good bouncing ground, then we could probably aim for higher levels again, initially of course for the 14.5796 area, and then maybe higher towards the recent with this one, there is a lot of good interest here in this pair, especially from the buyers, and probably, like I said, if this level continues to hold, the 14.1515 continues to hold, we could see some buying activity kicking in again. Okay guys, I'll have to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I hope you found it useful, and if you want to join me tomorrow morning at my traders espresso at 6 o'clock GMT time, 7 o'clock British summer time. But for now, I hope you have a good day, and bye bye.